What is hidden under Antarctica? The Antarctic, a mysterious frozen continent, is about 1.5 times the size of the United States, 99% of which is covered by ice. It contains about 70% of the planet's fresh water and 90% of the Earth's ice. Being the least populated continent, it keeps a lot of secrets. We have all heard the numerous conspiracy theories about hidden Antarctic secrets, including UFOs, aliens, Nazi bases, and other forms of weird and wonderful things. The truth is that what goes on there is largely uninteresting to most people, and is mainly very technical, complicated scientific stuff that's not easy to understand. At first glance, the frozen kingdom of Antarctica may appear featureless from above, but beneath all that ice lies a mysterious and complex world that researchers say could be pivotal to understanding the effects of climate change. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at what, over the years, the scientists have discovered and what the future looks like for Antarctica and the rest of the world. As a warming world melts part of Earth's polar regions, they draw the focus of scientists whose instruments reveal previously unknown geography. Seamounts, fjords, trenches, and canyons hidden under ice or covered by water become increasingly visible. It's well established that the Antarctic ice sheet has been rapidly losing mass. As ocean temperatures have risen, the glaciers that make up the ice sheet are melting at a rate 6 times faster than 40 years ago. NASA reports that Antarctica is now losing 252 gigatons of ice per year, about 3.5 Olympic swimming pools per second. According to the National Snow and Ice Data Center, if all of Antarctica's ice were to melt, global sea levels would rise by 200 feet, flooding every single coastal city and wiping whole countries completely off the map. Even a more modest change in sea level would be disastrous. For example, just a 5-foot change in sea level would be enough to cover an area the size of Denmark. In the US, cities such as New York City and Miami, with infrastructure very close to sea level, it would mean millions losing their homes. The 1.3-mile thick ice sheet that's accumulated in Antarctica over the eons covers 98% of the southernmost continent. But for almost 100 million years, the continent lay over the South Pole without freezing. It had a much warmer climate and was covered in lush rainforests similar to those that exist in New Zealand today, with dinosaurs foraging in the abundant vegetation. Then, about 34 million years ago, a dramatic shift in climate happened at the boundary between the Eocene and Oligocene epochs. The warm greenhouse climate became dramatically colder, creating an ice house at the poles that has continued to the present day. Antarctica today is divided into 3 regions: East Antarctica, West Antarctica, and the Antarctic Peninsula, with each section comprising a different topography beneath. The ice of the Antarctic Peninsula, for example, hides a spine of mountains projecting northwest from the inside of the continent. East Antarctica, the largest sector, includes some flatter plains as well as mountains. Here, the Gamburtsev mountain range, spanning 750 miles with peaks topping 11,200 feet, is about the same size as the European Alps, and completely covered by more than 2,000 feet of ice. West Antarctica's ground is almost entirely below sea level. The ocean bowl under the region was created during the last ice age, when the weight of the ice, much thicker at the time, pressed down on the bedrock. The lack of landmass under West Antarctica makes the region more vulnerable to melting, as it lacks the mountain ridges that stabilize the glaciers in the east. Satellite data collected between 1996 and 2006 showed that the thinning of the ice shelf stagnated in East Antarctica, while in West Antarctica, the rate of the melting tripled. The new NASA map, known as Bed Machine Antarctica, mixes ice movement measurements, seismic measurements, radar, and other data points to create the most detailed picture yet of Antarctica's hidden features. Included in the data is evidence for the deepest canyon on planet Earth. By studying how much ice flows through a particular narrow region known as the Denman Trough each year, the researchers realized it must dive at least 11,000 feet below sea level to accommodate all the frozen water volume. That's far deeper than the Dead Sea, the lowest exposed region of land, which sits 1,419 feet below sea level, according to the Israel Oceanographic and Limnological Research Center. More findings saw a troubled future for Greenland glaciers and dire implications for ice melt and for rising sea levels. Many of the giant island's glacier-bearing fjords extend much farther inland than previously thought. That exposes the glaciers to deeper, warmer waters as they retreat, leading to a far higher risk of accelerated melting. 6 years ago, it was not known how deep these fjords were underneath the ice. Now, with the new mapping technologies, it shows that the fjords extend tens to hundreds of kilometers inland, and many remain deep below sea level. Another breakthrough came in 2013. A winding canyon at least 460 miles long and longer than the Grand Canyon was discovered beneath the ice of Greenland. The canyon was revealed using an ice-penetrating radar instrument carried by aircraft as part of Operation Icebridge. Scientists scanned radar images gathered over thousands of miles between 2009 and 2012, mapping the bedrock below the ice and gradually piecing together the canyon's existence. In more recent years, a gigantic cavity has been discovered growing under West Antarctica that scientists say covers 2/3 of the footprint of Manhattan and stands almost 984 feet tall. This huge opening at the bottom of the Thwaites Glacier, a mass infamously dubbed the most dangerous glacier in the world, is so big it represents an overt chunk of the estimated 252 billion tons of ice Antarctica loses every year. Researchers say the cavity would have been large enough to hold some 14 billion tons of ice. Even more disturbing, the researchers say it lost most of this ice volume over the last 3 years alone. With the help of echo sounding back in 1970, scientists discovered underground lakes. The estimated amount of lakes under the 3 kilometers of ice was 400, but this was just an approximate estimation at the time, as many regions had yet to be examined. In 2016, a separate group of researchers using NASA data described an intricate system of subsurface lakes and streams beneath the ice in East and West Antarctica. The wide-ranging plumbing moves massive amounts of water from one lake to another, in one case causing collapse of the ice above and leaving a 10-mile-wide crater visible on the surface. Geologists taking sediment cores from the seafloor beneath the giant Filchner-Ronne ice shelf on the southern edge of Antarctica's Weddell Sea discovered what biologists believe are types of sponge. The geologists were more than 150 miles from the open ocean when they bored a hole through the 3,000-foot thick ice with a hot water drill and lowered a coring device and a video camera into the dark sea water below it. They had expected the seafloor to be mud, but were dismayed when they hit a boulder, which meant they couldn't get the intended sediment samples. But to their surprise, the camera showed colonies of stationary animals attached to the rock, probably sponges and related sea creatures. For biologists, this was amazing because no one has ever seen these before. Small, mobile animals such as shrimp and crustaceans called sea fleas have been seen before beneath ice shelves, but not ones that are stuck to rock waiting for food. There are indications that other animals such as tube worms, stalked barnacles, and hydroids were also stuck to the boulder. In order to survive, the organisms would have to feed on floating material from other animals or plants because it's impossible for plants to photosynthesize in the sunless seawater. While the boulder is located about 150 miles from the ocean, the direction of the currents beneath the ice shelf suggests the nearest plant life is up to 1,000 miles away. The discovery shows that life can exist in environments where science suggests it should not. One of the most unique creatures that has had to adapt to survive the cold temperature under the Antarctic is the see-through fish. Their evolutionary success is related to key adaptations, such as antifreeze glycoproteins, which prevent their body fluids from freezing at sub-zero temperatures. The reasoning behind being able to see through the fish is thought to be due to evolutionary loss of hemoglobin, the protein that makes blood red. If see-through fish isn't enough, Antarctica has a lot of other interesting species that can leave you speechless. What about leggy sea spiders the size of a dinner plate, or a giant squid, which most probably inspired the mythical kraken? One creature that is not known for its good looks is the Eulogisca gigantea. This bizarre worm is found at depths of more than 500 meters. The species reportedly grows to more than 20 centimeters long and 10 centimeters wide. The scale worm has a head like a xenomorph and a body that literally looks like it's made from rows of human teeth. Have you ever heard about Abraham Lake in Canada, full of mesmerizing ice bubbles? If yes, have you ever wondered what these bubbles are? It's frozen methane, which comes from microbes digesting organic matter in water. Methane is a greenhouse gas worse than carbon dioxide, and although it looks beautiful when frozen, it poses a serious threat to mankind's well-being. Right now, huge amounts of methane are frozen and hidden in the ice of Antarctica, but if glaciers continue to recede, it may lead to the explosion of the methane bomb. As we mentioned earlier in the video, we know that there are hundreds of lakes hidden underneath the thick ice of Antarctica. But there are some people who suggest that the frozen continent is home to the lost city of Atlantis. If we take into consideration that a long time ago Antarctica was as warm as Los Angeles is now, and it was a very appropriate place to build a city, it would be quite logical to suggest that this area was inhabited. The society that could have existed there came to an end with the last ice age, which completely froze the continent. So it's quite possible that some kind of society lived in Antarctica before the Ice Age, but whether it's the lost city of Atlantis or some other civilizations, we can't really tell for sure. What are your thoughts on climate change? If you want to see more videos like this one, then subscribe to Brain Impact for more. Thanks for watching.